machine.
So we're talking about the sacral and projectors and how um, I think that the sacral world, like you're just saying, Lily, this is a sacral world. It's a sacral emotional world, you know, basically because that's so much a big part of it. And um, people who don't have a sacral until they become aware of that whole amplification process, it's just normal life.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you want to say anything about that, Lily?
Well, I can say personally for me, what I've start to become aware of is how um, how much I resist that aspect of the world, the sacral, that generated field, and knowing that my type and I'm a non-energy type, um, I just didn't want to accept it, and I didn't want to on an unconscious level, but it's more conscious now of how affected I've been and how the deconditioning, what does the deconditioning of the sacral look like
Yeah.
for a projector? Um,
And what do you mean when you say you've resisted it? How do you see that? What does that feel like? What behaviors happen?
I want to keep it at bay, somehow, like I can handle it, type of thing. And it's a good question.
Like, do you get mad when there's too much sacral energy coming at you? Do you get scared? Do you get passive and retreat? Do you go up against? Maybe all of the above.
all the above, and I'll add mean. I can get mean.
Yeah.
um, because there's so much coming at me that I don't recognize, or maybe I resist recognizing. I don't know why I say resist, because that's it's a truth for me, but what I'm resisting is who I am, and that I'm a non sacral being, and
Maybe
I
you're
will
resisting the overwhelm.
I'm resisting the overwhelm, and so I'm resisting that I can't keep up. Um, yeah, all those things were from wherever the not self is coming through, which is for me would be my ego, my G center, and of course the sacral. Those are the three open centers that I have. And uh, it it really plays a big deal about my worth and my value and my
Your
contribution,
identity.
my
Are you
identity.
loved?
And,
Mhm.
so lately, there's been some identity crisis going on, and we do have the gate 36 in the sun right now, and we had the gate 22 before that. So there's been a lot of emotional crises, it feels like, or breaking down.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things that's after the dust has settled is before me and my own personal life. But then I realized perhaps a whole group of projector people don't realize how used to it they are, and they don't
What's the it? Used to what?
living in a generator world and how conditioned they've been.
Yeah, I would say that's almost certainly
Well,
true.
certainly.
It's
So,
almost like the fish doesn't recognize the water.
yeah. And so that's probably a lot of why I have felt so much not connected and on the outside, um,
Not connected to.
to being born, to being here.
Mm,
So it's a resistance to who I am. Yeah.
yeah, so a
I've
lot of,
been noticing,
go ahead, Philippe.
I've been noticing on the other side of that, and it's connected to that, how many of my projector friends are in that thing of not knowing when to quit, of becoming actually the resistance may be partially the fear of burnout because when you engage with the generator energy, the sacral energy, it can feel so good, or it can feel so strong, or it can feel whatever your design is, um, as a projector, that you just keep going. How many projectors do I know are the last one at the party?
Yeah.
How many projectors I know are taking on so many different projects because they're getting invitations and they're like, I can't not accept these invitations. It feels so good to keep doing it, and the eventual burnout and attendant bitterness. Because the bitterness comes from both, I think, both sides, which is one, not getting invited. That can be a very bitter pill. And then the second one is the burnout. Like, I've just been run ragged by by this energy that's nonstop, and you guys don't have that. You projectors don't have that nonstop energy. So that could be a little bit of part of it too, some resistance there.
The key word is the nonstop, because when a projector is correct, and in my experience, and they tap into that energy that lends to that generator energy, they can do great things in a short amount of time. It's the nonstop thing where that discernment of what, and this is kind of new for me. So the words might not, they might change next week, or might be an addition, but I don't have to do anything with the generator energy. Sometimes I feel I have to do something with it because it's coming to me. I'm feeling it, but I can let it pass through. And I don't know how much I have that skill at this point. Just the awareness alone is a skill. But
I think that that's a really important skill, and I would like to formally invite you to explore that if you feel called to it, and to continue to share that with us. Because I think, Lawrence, our friend Lawrence, talks about he's open emotional, and how he realized that when he relaxes his ass muscles and his sphincter, that he can let the emotion move through him, and then it's not a problem. It's when we hold on to it that it can be. And the other thing that has become clear to me, particularly in my relationship and friendship with you, Lily, is that, like with any open center, we are not experiencing what the other is. We are amplifying and distorting, right? So I may be a little miffed and you think I'm frustrated as fuck, you know. Um, and it takes a lot of stepping back into witness consciousness to remember that right there.
yes,
Me with your head. It's like, she's asking this question. She's demanding I answer this question. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's like, you're just kind of throwing out a little thought, and I'm going into a meltdown. Like, what does it take for me to step back and go, Lily's just kind of thinking out loud? Because I get this compulsion going to answer your question as quick as I fucking can, to get rid of this unbearable pressure that I just suddenly have in my head. Or like we
uh,
were saying, maybe Lacey was feeling pressured by my root, even though I wasn't asking anything. So I think it may be even a more discernment necessary when it's the sacral, because it is so basic, and it is the field we are in. And, my frustration to me may be no big thing, because if you're a generator, you go in and out of frustration a bunch of times a day. It's not like a not self or a self thing. It's just like, oh God, I forgot my keys. Okay, I gotta walk back. It's just like little things, and it's frustrating because I'm not moving my energy where it wants to go. But that can be a much bigger deal when it's felt in an amplified or even distorted way.
yeah. and to be aware that it's one of the things that it's like if I say it's none of my business, just let it go, let it
None of
pass.
my business has become one of my favorite phrases.
Because there is a not self aspect that I could pick up for myself personally, which would be my open centers. Where's that coming from? When I feel the bitterness, when I feel the frustration, and it feels so toxic, and which could be an amplification um,
Right.
at one level or another. So um, to realize that as a projector is um, just to realize how affected we've been. And
Your whole life.
we all, I've seen on sites, where they, oh, those damn MGs or those damn projectors, when they're going to wake up and when they're going to blah, blah, blah. And it's like, where can we collaborate with each other? What's the
Yeah.
responsibility of the open person, like the open sacral, let's say, to, I suppose it's just over time, that awareness, like, oh, that's not my business. And it hurts so much when I try to hold on to it or try to push back or put energy back into it. It's just not. And that's a skill that can only come over time, I guess. Um, but I
Or
would, or we could talk about it. The more people become aware, I think there will be a quickening. It won't take as much time as it's taken with me. So,
And
that's
then
all.
when it can be your business is if you're invited to guide some energy, which I just want to say one thing about projectors being guides. It's not about being advice givers. I think people hear the word guides and they think of coaches or people who give advice. As I see it, the reason that projectors are guides is because they all have open sacrals, so they can, when they stand in that position of witnessing, instead of, getting all distorted with it, see what the energy wants to do. They can
Exactly.
take that sacral and go, oh, that sacral wants to go in that direction, or, whatever that might happen to be. And I just want to say one other thing about sacrals, because this didn't occur to me right away. I think I'm on year 16 with my experiment, and it didn't occur to me for quite a while how vastly different generators are. I was just like, generators have lots of energy, and I have three generator channels. I have three channels, period, and they all come from my sacral, and I have lots of energy. I have more energy than anyone I know, actually. And so I figured all generators had the same amount of energy as I do, which is lots and lots and lots and lots. But it's not what it is. And whatever channel, as a generator, whatever channel you have, that is what you have energy for, right? So sacral, I just called you sacral instead of Philippe. So Philippe, you have that cycles business, that 5342, you have energy for being in a cycle, for beginning it, for going through it, and for ending it. And that is your
Yeah.
sacral energy. That is your
I'm in the
sacral
middle of it now.
life force. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in the middle of it now and doing the play. And, you know, I have been engaged and energized and have energy. I have, the frustrations that come up. And it's been like just great. And everybody's receiving so much from my energy in this thing as well. And which is very the whole thing is so satisfying. Like I feel like if I could just be in a cycle, a correct cycle
Yeah.
or another, well, of course I am anyway, it doesn't matter. But when I am in this very direct, clear development from beginning, middle, and end, it's so heavenly for me.
It's heaven. Yeah. There's
And
heaven right
everything else is just like, yeah, and nothing else is my business than this right now. I was on another call earlier for a new tantra thing, and I just am not in it right now. like I'm in my cycle.
Mhm.
I'll get to that when I'm done. Start the next cycle.
Yeah.
But I have this, my full engagement is there. And my energy is there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a,
And
uh,
and and I do notice that I have to, I mean, it's just the way it is for me that because I have two projected channels, my other two channels, I really have to be invited into my cycles. It just feels like that. If there's no invitation, then there's initiation. And even though I have those manifesting gates in my throat, um, initiation just doesn't seem to work for me.
Well, those are hanging gates, so it's not like you don't have a throat center, but when it's there and you've responded and been
Yeah,
invited to something, and that's being called from you, then you can go forth.
yeah.
yeah, true.
And,
Yeah, fully in my leadership position in this cycle right now.
I had to come to
Go
another
ahead.
room to plug in my computer.
What did you say,
uh,
Lily?
oh, she just said she had to plug in her computer.
But you were going to say something, I think, Lily.
Just, well, I don't know exactly what I was going to say, except for the feeling of being victimized. I think projectors can have that sense of being victimized by the energy. And it is unconscious. It's not an awareness center. And it is a motor. And just to see it in those mechanics, as and if I'm feeling victimized, then what are my options? And my options
Hmm.
maybe are get out of the aura, have a little space if it's really intense, and then go to my open centers to see,
To take a
uh,
look.
yeah, to take a look. And projectors are, and I can feel victimized by this, are called to go deeper, to study the current and the energies and to see, and they just have to. That's just what they're here for. It's just not a uh, one and done kind of thing. You just, you just have to keep going deeper. And that is not that nobody can go deeper, but they are particularly called to do it. If there is um, discord, they're here to see it. They're here and to see something different. And they really have to look and they have to take the time to do it. And
Yeah.
it's kind of sometimes shitty and sometimes okay. I want to get out of this sense of um, bitterness or whatever it is, the mood that I'm in, and how can I look at it? And we're here to see. We're not here to tell you.
To do, yeah.
I can see when
Unless
something's
we
off.
invite you to.
Right.
And
If we
and
invite you to, we definitely want you to tell us.
and I may not be in the mood. Who knows?
Right. And I may
Um,
not be in the mood to hear it once you do.
look, if it's correct and you want to know and you still don't want to hear it, that's not my fault.
Right. True.
And humor, we were talking
That
just
helped a lot.
humor, like, do just like to me, right, is an exaggeration, right? Just humor to me can be an exaggeration of what's going on to relieve that pressure of so serious,
Yeah.
trying to, um, yeah, so we're not here to, because that's a great burden. I can see when an energy is off, but I can't tell you why
Why
in the
not?
moment. And there was an aspect of me in my open centers, my um, be good enough to, really, really be good to meet that person's need because something's off. That's horrible. That's a horrible way to go at it.
Yeah.
So,
By transference.
it's transference. And so I'm just, when I see something off, then it reflects back to me, who am I with and where I'm at, and what's going on inside of me. So,
Hmm.
because a lot of times people just want your attention as a projector. And so it looks like an invitation.
That's really interesting.
And you become a novelty.
Ah,
Say that
ah.
again. My computer wasn't plugged right, so I got distracted.
You can become, I'm realizing I can become as a projector, a novelty. Because people want that focus, that attention, but they don't want you.
Yeah.
So they can perform.
Now I feel like I'm like being like a circus sideshow hawker, having all these projectors come into my view.
We,
I'm just gathering. I'm just gathering the freaks together and like gonna maybe I'll videotape them and sell them for $5 a pop. Yeah, no. I hope I don't. I hope I'm not trying to exploit my projectors.
and if you are, I mean, if that's even, then hopefully somebody will help with that, because I
Yes.
see it,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I envision like you take a room, put all the projectors in there, and take a white sheet or a canvas and like a circus tent, and have the tent, and
Uh-huh.
then the little booth out there. And come on, young lady, you want to see the the bearded projector and the three-armed projector and the you know right in the back of their head projector. And that would be kind of fun in a sense, that would be the extreme. So people could
Yeah.
put up and then they turn around like, I see you, kind of thing. And
Well, you were talking about the awareness that a projector needs to have an awareness. And we had been having some conversations, you and I, Lily, about awareness centers. And some people have three, like you. I only have the emotional one. Philippe, you have the emotion and the spleen. It's the emotion, the ajna, and the spleen are the three awareness centers, and the emotion isn't quite as aware as it will be. And then I had the thought, well, I think of projectors as having awareness. Do all projectors have awareness centers? Is that a thing? And I just went through all these mechanics in my head, and yes, unless they're self-projectors, and then they might not have
Wow.
an awareness center. And I have for many years thought that self-projectors were actually a category of their own. I think that they're a different category. I mean, obviously they're mechanically a projector because
Yeah.
of the non-energy being, et cetera, et cetera. But that even reinforced to me that, yeah, there's a different quality of category there. What they have is direction, because they have that G and
Yeah.
identity and all of that. But they might, but they
yeah,
don't have the awareness center.
I never thought about it that way.
Well, a G center can, a G projector can, because they can have the ajna and still be a G projector. But but if they don't have the ajna, then they don't have any awareness centers.
Mm. Wow.
Mm,
And that's the thing
That
about,
may be why so many of my, I was going to say that my self-projector friends, whom I have a few,
yeah.
um, they almost all talk about their guides or their people that they're talking to and receive information from. Like it's very interesting.
Hmm.
They're like my guides, and I ask my ancestors that they're talking to. They're often talking to somebody who I guess is some connection to the monopole or
Something.
something. Like
Huh.
it's a really interesting thing, and they've all been all the people I know who are like that are self-projected projectors.
Huh. Interesting.
And that may just be my own
fractal.
weird, my own fractal of them. Yeah.
Oh,
And projectors, there are so many different kinds of projector. Just like I was saying, like the sacral, depending on what channel you have, that's the life force of that sacral. Well, there's a lot of different kind of projectors, from one who has just one channel to like Lily, who has how many channels? You have three, but you have um,
oh, triple.
a pretty defined chart.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a really wide range of projectorism out there.
I've noticed that it seems like there are more one-channel projectors than any other type. Um, Maybe that's because there's more. Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I've met a lot of one-channel projectors, super open with just one channel. Whereas I don't know too many manifestors or generators that have that. There's some, but not that many.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that is
Well,
that
Jan and
if that
Hanalei,
would fit with your theory.
just in our class, Jan and Hanalei are two of them right there.
They're
Generator
two of the only
one
ones I've
channel.
ever met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Menon has just the one. D, that's projector.
Yeah. I wonder if
Well,
there's
there are
statistics.
more projected channels than
Lots of
anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, there's more
right.
projected channels, and I'm curious about the statistics because they do statistics on so many other things,
Yeah.
the egos and how many.
Yeah.
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 How many one channel people are there out there?
I, I have met a lot of one channel
Yeah.
people. It surprises me because I would think the odds were you
That
that
you'd
wouldn't.
have more.
Yeah, I don't know,
I
but
know. And then you
hey,
meet like a projector who I have this one projector friend who just doesn't has like almost a completely defined chart,
Except for the
but
sacral.
nothing connected to except for the sacral and nothing connected to the throat to make
Yeah.
her manifestor. But I'm like, oh my God, that's so crazy. And she's very different than any projector I've met.
Yeah.
yeah, is she more like steadfast or grounded?
Um, yeah, yeah. And also like a kind of firebrand, like a lot of energy, strong energy. Because of course she's got ego and emotions and
Yeah, all the
um,
roof.
everything. Clean, like everything. I think the sacral was the only thing that she didn't have identified. I mean, defined.
One of the things that I ponder when I see someone who's super defined is that they often have a number of channels. And when you have the more channels that you have, the more likely you are to compromise people, and people resist you when they're compromised by you. And so that's one of the things
Yeah.
that I ponder with compassion, is that these are people who get resistance and have no idea why, because they're just them, you know. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know that I'm compromising someone, but they sure know.
So how do
Hmm.
we take the so much pressure off? I mean, especially for projectors. Um, it's a big pressurized world for them, and I think humor is the only way. I just keep coming back to that. So I like the
Yeah.
idea of freak show to be funny.
Well,
For anybody.
as a generator, with a lot of energy. What I would wish, like if I could just wave a magic wand, what I would like in my relationship with projectors, if they would be just so direct with me. Too much energy for me today, Tiera. Hey, Tiera, I could use some energy today. That right
Right.
there would alleviate so much pressure for me. It's like, hey,
Mm.
I really feel like going for a walk and I just can't get myself going. You want to go for a walk, Tiara? Like, give me some sacral. Because
Yeah.
I have plenty of sacral, but I don't like it being stolen,
Exactly.
right? It's
And
like,
that,
if you want my energy, say it. I got tons, right? But
yeah,
when it's like you're pretending something else, but really you're just wanting my energy, no. Or if
yeah.
I'm too much for you, that doesn't hurt my feelings if you tell me directly. But if you're like pushing me away, but having a conversation, then I don't understand. So that's what I would think could help everybody is
Well,
that well, and with any open centers, like just like see it and own it, own the experience and speak to it if it's about someone else, if there's someone involved with
yeah.
you.
So what came to me while I was listening to you to this is I think there's an edge or on a verge of not evolution, I would say, for projectors to realize that they can ask for the generator energy, and because they're so used to it being slapped around by it or trying to plug into it because they don't have any of their own, they do have energy, but it is a roundabout circuit. And so to go take it is not the way, and to recognize that, like your example was great, to go for a walk. Would you go with me? And you could say, type of thing. To ask for it. And that isn't in any way, shape, or form that you are lacking. Because I think projectors feel like they're lacking then, like they have to
Mm.
get down on your
Well, we
knees and
all are lacking. You are lacking sacral energy. I am lacking willpower. Whatever we don't have, we are lacking.
yes. I guess what I'm talking is a type is in general, which is the um, projectors. Um, and that the resistance to somehow I'm not saying all projectors, but identifying is that I'm something in
So
I'm
I'm
nothing
less than. I'm lacking, so I'm less than.
that
Because
can be.
lacking is true, but the less than is not.
Do you feel, Philippe, because you have more contact with projectors than I do, do you feel that that is something that is a
Theme.
thread or a theme? Did you fall down? Can you get back up? We
You're
can't hear.
muted. You're muted.
Muted.
There we go.
There.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just having to reorganize something really quick with Max. My New York City lover is coming into town, and I was going to pick him up, but I have a client instead. So anyway, Max is
Okay.
going to pick him up. It's so modern. Ah,
Well,
So
Lily
the
was just asking, like, I don't know if you heard all of that. Lily
I
was
did.
okay.
Yes, I did. Yeah. I love that. It's so interesting too. Because yeah, we think in terms sometimes in terms of openness, meaning lack, which I don't think it is actually, but that is how we think of it often, that like I lack a G center, like I don't have
yeah.
a personality or an identity or a direction or anything like that. But I think it's just, if we can look at it as it's just a different way of uh, dealing with or experiencing that quality. Because even if we have a completely open center, it's not always completely open. Often, depending on who we're hanging out with or what the neutrinos are doing, we're experiencing that energy flowing through us. And so projectors get a lot of sacral energy from a lot of different things. So it's not a lack of it. It's just a different um, volume or a different pulse. You know how they say like the ego center, even when you have a defined ego center, it's not always on. It
Yes.
has a pulse. It has like a wave, and the emotional center, it has this wave. So, like, there are times when I don't feel like an emotional being because I'm in my plateau or my like even space. And I'm like, I can just be, I feel like, you know, even though that's a different one because it's just a different I guess quality is the word that I'm looking for. So if we can look at it as just we have a different quality and not a lack of something. Because I mean, I think just from the moments that I've been in your physical presence, I would not say you have a lack of sacral energy. At least not when you're standing next to me, right?
Well,
Because you're amplifying it.
if we're amplifying it and we're here to see how energy works or how it's flowing or where it stopped or whatever, then we have all the energy we need to shift and change that. And if,
Yeah.
correct and invite it. And the energy projector, which I have two energy centers, I have lots of energy, but it's 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 not nonstop. And um, I'm, I can do a lot when it's correct. I can really,
Yeah.
really, when I have a passion behind it, when I'm invited, so it's not that. It's more like we're at your mercy, so to speak, which is
I understand.
black mentality, so to speak. If I never were to meet another projector and I lived in a
You mean a
world,
generator?
sorry, a generator, you're right. If I don't ever meet, will I still have that? I'm still living in a generator world, like the Maya, my understanding of it. So I'll still feel that
Yeah.
um, on and off pulse cycle. It's just it's humbling to be who you are, and like the limitations, and it's not a negative. It's really a focus on what you do have and what you are rather than wanting that over there. So it's humbling to accept that for me. It really is.
Yeah.
And you have nothing over, nobody has anything over me. It's not like a jailer. I'll give it to you when I'm in the mood, type of thing. It's meant to work when it's correct because the sacral energy has no awareness. So it's just running.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just a motor that's going until it goes to sleep. And then if you're Tiera, it's still going because I'm a generator when I'm sleeping. It
Me and
never
Max too.
stops.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So it just never
I'm a
stops. And it
projector when
is
I'm
not aware. It's not an awareness center. It will never, as far as I can tell, be an awareness center. It's just motor. It's just you turn the car on and there's a motor going. It doesn't know where it's going. It doesn't think about itself. It's just fuel. It's just there. Um, did Max want to say anything?
Just to me about logistics.
I was gonna say something about something you had said though, and now I don't know if I'm gonna remember it. Oh, well, yeah, the whole thing about lack. One thing I have found for me, and it kind of goes along with, um, well, the name of my little book, Liberation Through Limitation, is that I like saying I am lacking because it gets me away from being worried about lacking. When I won't say I'm lacking, it's because I think there's something wrong with that. For
Hmm.
me, this is how my brain operates. If I can say I am limited and I am lacking and I don't know about that and I don't understand this and I've got that and I don't got that, when I can, and I'm lazy, that was one that I practiced saying for a while because passive in the environment, I can look really lazy to people who are active in the environment. So I started owning, I am lazy. I'm lazy. I like to sit around and stimulate my head with uh, movies and stuff.
That's
That's
helpful for
one of the
me.
things
Yeah.
I have done for me is I give myself those words that I don't like so that I can um,
Hmm.
what's the word when they're activated so I can deactivate the problem with that. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm lazy. I don't understand how to budget. Never will, don't want to, not my business. I think I actually understand something about money. I'm talking about my completely open ego that's way different than what most people see. Just like, you, Philippe,
Hmm.
probably something about identity and direction that the rest of us don't have any inkling about. But it's not what other people think I should have. I don't have that. I am lacking.
That is true. I agree with that too.
Yeah. And there is
Especially the,
a
go ahead.
humility to me. There's a humility to it
Yeah,
rather than
exactly.
trying to be pumped up for everything, for all things. So go
Yeah.
ahead, Phil.
Especially for we who have that open ego, which the three of us here do, is like, I am not going to try and prove I'm not lazy. I'm not going to try and prove any of that stuff I spent my whole life proving. I'm going to own that I'm lazy. I'm going to own that I'm not good at that or this, even to
Yeah,
just deconditioning the ego part of it, of me, that openness.
that's helpful. I think I will adopt I'm lazy
Yeah, it's
because
totally cool.
I have come a long way. I have come a long way with that the passive in my environment thing, but it's still there's still some judgment sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially around those active people. It's so hard not to. And it's wild for me because I have so much energy and I'm a lazy person. Like
Well,
I'll
that's
go
the
out
weird
and
thing
walk
too,
for
'cause
6, 8 hours, but then when I'm
yeah,
not walking, I'm just laying there.
yeah, pretty much.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
find that for me to help break that spell of the stigmatism of stuff
There you
like that
go. Yeah.
is to add something to or find an alternative way and see how that sounds. It's the same thing, like what I did with the word stubborn. I've got 8-second lines, right? So you really got to come after me. I'm calling, keep calling. People think you just, like you're just saying no, just stay. And it's not that. It's just, so I found the term justifiably unyielding. And to me,
Say it again.
justifiably unyielding, stubborn.
Yeah.
There's I'm justifiably unyielding because I have my own thing. I'm who I am, and it's not across the board that I'm stubborn. It's just I am justifiably unyielding for what is being called to me or come at me. And hey, wait, there's a boundary. Wait. Um, and that changed everything for me because my whole life it was a negative connotation. Oh, you're so stubborn.
So could you be stubborn and have that not be negative? Could you say, I'm stubborn and have
Well,
that not be negative?
I have that alternative thread that now that I'm feeding it, it's
Right,
something.
right. So you have them linked
Hey, I'm
now.
stubborn. I
Yeah,
don't feel negative anymore at all.
yeah.
Yeah. So passive, lazy. Um, I look around me. Steve and I are both passive in the environment, and we have a beautiful environment. How did that happen, being lazy to the old standards at least?
And passive
Right.
and active does not mean you're doing something or not doing something.
It's
In fact, I think I would love to have a whole class on the different variables because I think they are absolutely fundamental.
absolutely.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so
Huge.
we can do that
Put that
too.
down. Yeah, can you write that down? You were making a list of things for
I will
topic.
put that on the list.
Yes.
I think I'm done now.
Yeah, me too. I have to pee and I
Yeah,
have to
me
go.
too.
Me too.
Need some food and I
The
need to
body's food.
pee.
So
Body's
this is
the
Lily
body's
Lash
calling.
and Philippe Andre Coquet, who's such a coquette, and me being Tiera. Bye.